Hello and welcome back to my humble show. Hope you had a great day. It is night right now, and I do hope to get through this as quickly as possible so that I can get at least 5 hours of sleep tonight. I could use it before I lose it. The weekend is just around the corner. I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure you are as well. But in the meantime, we have some news to cover. So like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. What say you? Feel free to disagree with me. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you know as we go through all of this. I put together a thread about Thursday's dramatic events in regards to the document dump. Well, there was supposed to be an extensive document dump featuring Jeffrey Epstein documents. But that was a bit of a disappointment. A bad day for the White House, if you ask me. Of course, this is just phase 1, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. But for now, yeah, I'm disappointed. So let me start at the top here, though it is a bit sporadic. Like I said, put together a thread here, but I kept adding stuff to it. It's not all in perfect order, but what was perfect about any of this? Alright, so here I say, and I'm just going to work my way down. Pathetic post by House Judiciary GOP. The epitome of poor taste. Whoever thought this was a good idea to post doesn't deserve their job. Trolling and rickrolling, if you know what that means, Americans over a badly handled Epstein documents dump is unacceptable, to say the least. So, if you'll notice here, the original post is now unavailable because it has been deleted by the aforementioned Judiciary Committee. So, that's no good. Let me scroll on down because I do have a screenshot of it. You can see it right here. They said, hashtag breaking Epstein files released. And then they provide a link which takes you, or took you at least, to a website which then redirected you to another website which happened to be YouTube and Rick Ansley's music video, which has been used to troll people and prank people many times over. So they decided to take this opportunity to prank people. That's what House Judiciary GOP people, or at least a person, was up to. I don't know if someone's going to get fired over this, but it was really bad PR. So, yeah, community note here. The link provided does not contain the Epstein files. The link plays a Rick Astley music video instead. This is just a screenshot, so I can't click on it. But I said over here in my caption, this House Judiciary GOP prank post is still up. It was at the time. At 10 million views. And they still haven't had the decency to delete it. Hey, Jim Jordan, what are you people even doing? Give us actual Epstein files or zip it. Yeah. Scrolling on down a little further here. Switching things up a bit to a different site for sore eyes. Well, more publicity stunts. And lo and behold, they were pulled off poorly as well. They were handled poorly as well. So I'm not sure who is to blame for all of this, whether it's all the way up to Donald Trump, whether it's down to Carolyn Levitt. Who all is behind this, I can't say. But it was a bad day for them. They thought it was a good day until it wasn't. There was a lot of celebrating, a lot of premature celebrating. So yeah, I said, then there's this disastrous publicity stunt. Let me just pull up a couple of photos here so you can get a sneak preview of what I'm talking about. If you've already kept up with all of this, good for you. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Maybe you can tell me something I don't already know. I'm just trying to keep my eyes awake right now. My brain feels fine, but my eyes do not. I just want to blink constantly. Anyways, I said, then there's this disastrous publicity stunt. I tend to like Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, but this just ain't it. It ain't it. It ain't it, especially considering the other underwhelming Epstein-related developments, or lack thereof, of the day. Here's what I have to say. Right place, wrong time, regardless of the people. In other words, you picked the wrong story to get slick with. It just feels like a phony attempt at transparency. Like you want to celebrate yourselves more than you want to expose corruption and crimes. Clicks and giggles aren't appropriate at this time. So don't insult our intelligence. No need for a middleman here. No need for hand-picked surrogates, or shall I say influencers, who simp for you at every convenient turn. Enough of the dog and pony show. Enough smoke and mirrors. Read the room before you fill it. Stop blowing smoke. If you have something worth showing us, just spill it. Strong words, I know, but they were warranted, in my humble opinion. This post from Karoline Leavitt, whom, like I said, I like, but this just ain't it. It ain't it. She said, great meeting today with some very influential social media content creators. These folks have larger followings than most mainstream media reporters. The media landscape has changed, and we are fully embracing it here at the Trump White House. Okay, so one thing I could say is that though most of these influencers have quite a few followers, for the most part, they have the same followers. So if they wanted to spread the word a little bit further, they could have brought in a bit more diversity of thought. Because these are all Trump supporters, and that's fine. Anti-Trumpers aren't exactly going to want to work with you on this sort of thing. You're one big happy family right now. I get it. And I'm not jumping on the bandwagon of so many of these mainstream media narratives about how, oh, poor Associated Press. They got kicked out of some press conferences. It's unacceptable behavior. Cry me a river. So, I'm not floating my boat on that river of tears. I'm just not. But I'm still going to call it like I see it and say it's not really a good look when there's something as pressing as the much called for, long called for, Jeffrey Epstein documents, files on the table, supposedly, and then you bring in a bunch of influencers to sit around that table, then you pass the documents, which didn't turn out to be very revealing, and then you all pat yourselves on the back and have a celebration, and then post about it, as the press secretary did here. I don't want to call her a propaganda secretary. Not yet. Hopefully, she and the Trump administration will recover from this, and a lot of that's going to come down to AG Pam Bondi and FBI Secretary, or shall I say Director, get it right, Kash Patel, newly confirmed, that is. And we'll get into that. Let me keep scrolling down here. Try not to miss anything along the way. The Babylon Bee accurately portrays the clown show that was the White House in their mishandling of the Epstein document dump today. Well, yesterday by now, because it is... What time is it for me? Almost 1:30. I'm doing okay. But yes, you can see in the caption here from the Babylon Bee, White House cheerleading squad loads Epstein files in t-shirt cannons and launches them into crowd. So this is basically mocking all the photos that were going around of the aforementioned influencers walking out with binders of Epstein documents, files in their hands. So this is taking it one step further, satirically, sarcastically, and saying this is basically what's going on here. It's not a good look for you guys. The Trump administration, that is. Trump is throwing papers up into the air. You see a t-shirt cannon there. You get the point. You get the picture. No need to linger on that one. Okay, so an update. And all of these additions to this thread are from at least several hours ago, for the most part. So this isn't exactly breaking news. There will be more breaking news tomorrow, I imagine. If I'm able to, I'll talk about that, especially if there's something interesting, something actually interesting which comes out of it all. But for now, I do want to get through this as quick, fast, and in a hurry as possible. Because there's no need to linger on any of this too much, since there's, for one, not too much to linger on, and two, well, gonna have to do this again tomorrow, potentially. We'll see. Pam Bondi is supposed to have some new documents, some new files sitting on her desk. Speaking of desks, speaking of tables, in the morning at 8 o'clock. So a few hours to go. We'll see what happens there. But here's an update. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna says that the person who posted this prank, which I shared up at the top of the thread, the House Judiciary GOP prank, will be fired. Props to her for condemning it, but it's worth noting that she's not a member of the House Judiciary Committee. So I'm not sure how much of a scoop she has. So that's Representative Anna Paulina Luna saying the person who posted the link to the Rickroll is going to be fired. Except she's not on that particular committee. Just saying. She might know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows something about something else. That's up to her to answer to. This was a screenshot of her post. This is a screenshot of her post. She said, "The amount of people hurt by Epstein is not a joke. Whoever posted this is going to get fired. Disgusting behavior." And she's obviously screenshotting what I've already showed you. The post, which has since been deleted. And here's the moment, basically, when it got deleted. Another update I added to the thread. The House Judiciary GOP account has finally deleted its inappropriately misleading Epstein post. Here's the link they shared. The redirect page is still alive. But first, here's this, so you can see it for yourself. This page doesn't exist. Try searching for something else. And this was the post before it was deleted, but you've already seen enough of that. So as for that link, which I was able to save and repost here, let me see if that redirect page is still up. It is. So this was the redirect page that the House Judiciary GOP were leading us to, which then leads to this. I'm not going to play the actual video, but here you see Rick Astley never gonna give you up. So this has 1.6 billion views. And if I just scroll through the comments for a moment, I might see my own where I said, "This is the wrong time to troll, gov," as in government. But a lot of other people were commenting similarly. Someone said, "It's a special kind of evil to be rickrolled by your government. Yes, their link sent me here." That was 12 hours ago. Someone else said 11 hours ago, "These aren't Epstein files." So yes, people were clicking the link and being led here for a troll. A poorly timed, distasteful troll. Back to the thread here. Hold on a second. Have a cat making noise over there. I didn't see the cat. I heard the noise, was wondering what it was. Problem solved. I say it like the cat is no longer alive. The cat is alive. Don't worry about that. I was just checking. I assumed it was a cat. Just wanted to be sure it wasn't a rat or something like that. On to this. Anyway, as Kyle Becker points out, today's Epstein files release mostly just seems like another cover-up, especially considering how much they literally covered up, even on previously published documents. Meaning, a lot of what was released today, most of what was released today, I keep saying today, but I mean Thursday, as in yesterday, because it's now early Friday morning. You know, stuff was released that had been released previously, flight logs, that sort of thing. And there were portions which were redacted this time, which weren't redacted in the past. What's with that? What's with this? Here's what Kyle Becker had to say. The Epstein files, Phase 1 release wasn't just a lot of what we already know. In some cases, it appears to be less than what we already know. If the FBI, New York, Southern District in New York release redacted information that was previously unredacted, this is definitely a red flag. So yeah, they did. They released some information in redacted form which had been released in the past in unredacted form. Here's an example of it. Wow. Same document. Redactions here, but not here. This is the original. This was what was released previously, and this was what was just released. So the redacted ones are the ones that were just released. The ones which the influencers proudly carried out of the White House, only to basically inform us that it was nothing new. In fact, it was less than the old. It also means this information should have been more thoroughly vetted. The FBI should get serious and hit these officials with obstruction of justice charges if they keep it up. This is unacceptable no matter how you cut it. So I don't know if this was a last-second effort to throw something out there, and therefore they didn't even really realize that it had already been released in the past, unredacted. I don't know who is responsible for this, if it's Pam Bondi, if it's the FBI, because I know they've been stalling and potentially destroying documents. We'll get into that momentarily. However you slice it, the slice is not right. I want to give them somewhat of a benefit of the doubt. But they better figure it out quickly. Alright, so here are 3 ways to access Nothing Burger, Phase 1 of the Jeffrey Epstein files. And I have 3 different links here. The first one that was making its rounds was a Dropbox link, but the traffic was so heavy on that that it shut down for a lot of people. So there's this. I can pull this up, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. In fact, I'm going to scroll right past this first page because I do have it further on down in my thread, and I will read that. But as you can see, a lot of pages here. This says 224 pages. Flight log sorts of numbers and names. Nothing breaking, no breaking news. So the story kind of died out at the end of the day, or by the end of the day, because there just wasn't anything insightful in it, despite what we were led to believe. So yeah, as recent as a day before, Pam Bondi had been on air talking about how the release was going to start on Thursday. There were going to be names of flight logs, that sort of thing, released. She didn't really specify or quantify the what's, the who's, anything like that. And as you can see, a lot of redactions here. A lot of black. Just like on that one particular day when everyone was posting black squares on their social media. That's what this looks like, pretty much. Different purpose, I know, but I'm just saying that's what it reminds me of. But yeah, because Pam Bondi was out there saying, it's about to happen. We're about to drop the big one. And then as the time arrived, she kind of became less assertive in saying what was about to happen. And she just said, yeah, there's stuff. It's going to start coming out. I was like, I'm not really overly optimistic about this. Because she's not specifying, she's not quantifying. It sounds like we could just be tap dancing around the issue here for a little while. Hopefully not forever, but for now, that's what's happening. So I'm just scrolling on down here. Yes, all of these pages are sideways until we get to the bottom. As you can see, there's that visitors massage list with all the names redacted, which had previously been unredacted. And look at all of these blacked out lines. So they seriously thought it was a good, or at least good enough idea to print all of these out in the form of binders and hand them off to social media influencers who are supposed to have a lot of followers and therefore be able to spread all of this around. Problem is, it has already been seen by the public, so much of it. There's nothing new here. So either they just really botched it and didn't even really know what they were giving out until afterwards, or they just kind of freaked out because they weren't getting the cooperation they wanted from the FBI, meaning Pam Bondi wasn't getting what she thought she was going to get, and therefore she wasn't able to give what she was telling us she was going to be able to give. But I know that she did send Kash Patel, again, the new director of the FBI, an emphatic letter saying that by 8 o'clock this morning, she wants some stuff on her desk. Scroll to the bottom of the documents to see just how many black bar redactions there are. all on the behalf of the victims? I'm not convinced. I see the word visitors here, not victims. So I was just pointing that out. They were saying that they would be redacting names of victims, information of victims. That's what Pam Bondi was saying on air. People were skeptical of that as well. The last couple of days she was saying there will be redactions because of the victims. But then you have stuff like this, which has previously been unredacted. And it says visitors, not victims massage. And then you're blacking all of that out. It's just questionable redacting. Not that I'm a professional on any of this. I'm just saying. It's all a bad look. And I'm going to keep looking until it becomes a good look or such a bad look that the corruption is undeniable. I think that the Trump administration has done pretty well thus far. Give or take. But this ain't it. It ain't it. That's pretty much the theme of tonight's show. A lot is riding on the actions of AG Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel, so I'll give them a chance to give us something worth looking at before I conclude that they're corrupt and or participating in a cover-up of the actual Epstein files. Here's the letter which Bondi sent Kash earlier in the day in case you somehow missed it. By the way, who was it first leaked to and why? The DOJ website also has a press release about it. I'll click on that. But first, this. Actually, I may just go ahead and click on this and pull up the letter that way because it's not quite as clear, not quite as crispy in my screenshot. Not that you can see this lettering. Tiny lettering, I know. But I want to go directly to this letter. See my mouse on the screen there? Click here. A copy of Attorney General Bondi's letter can be downloaded here. I've already done that. Open. Here it is. A little bit more clear here. Read along if you want. From the Office of the Attorney General, February 27. Dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers. So already expressing disapproval here. So, if you're really that disappointed, why bring in all these social media influencers and hand this stuff out like candy? Did you really not look through it before you decided to do it? What's going on? Because this was leaked out around the same time. I mean, I saw people like Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, with their own photographed copies of this before it was published officially by the DOJ. So I don't know who it was leaked to first, why exactly it was done in that way. In fact, I don't know the exact timeline. Maybe you know this. Did the whole influencer situation take place at the White House and then shortly after this letter was sent out? Because there was a freak out going on behind the scenes as they began to realize that there was nothing newsworthy in it? Or was this letter typed out ahead of time and they knew they didn't actually have anything new or newsworthy and they still brought in the influencers? Or is it somewhere in between and they already had the influencers on the way, so they went ahead and completed their day and just gave them what they had? knowing that it wasn't enough. I don't know exactly what the situation, what the scenario was, but I'll read on here. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Clearly not. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. And I think this is out of the field office, the Southern District of New York, which has had connections to all sorts of crazy and politically related cases. A lot of shenanigans go on there in New York. That's undeniable. But yes, keep in mind that Kash Patel wasn't confirmed until just recently. It's almost as if there was a reason why his confirmation process was put on hold longer than so many others. There have been stories about the deleting and shredding of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein by the FBI. I can't claim that definitively, but it does appear, at least according to what Pam Bondi is saying, according to what the whistleblower told her, there are thousands of documents which were not handed over to her, which does seem to suggest something nefarious is going on. And hopefully she's not in on it. Hopefully, because that would be terrible. That would defeat the whole purpose. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, as in today, Friday, February 28, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims and in accordance with law, as I have done my entire career as a prosecutor. Still, she's emphasizing the desire to protect the privacy of victims, which tells me that whatever they get, if they get more, they are going to heavily redact it as well. That's the read I'm getting on this. But hopefully we'll get something. I'm also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personnel action within 14 days. Hopefully some heads will roll, meaning some people will be fired if it turns out there was indeed something nefarious going on. Actually, hopefully there will be criminal prosecutions, actual consequences if something like that was going on. And we've heard that Kash Patel is the man for the job, and he's not messing around. So if there's something that hasn't yet been destroyed, deleted, shredded, whatever, hopefully he can get his hands on it and turn it over quickly. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter, she continues. I know that we are both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to serve our president and our country. She has signed down here at the bottom, Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Some people have taken this to mean that she is throwing him under the bus, that Bondi is throwing Patel under the bus because of the emphatic nature of it. I'm not so sure. I think they're on good terms to begin with. She's giving him all the reason to do whatever it is he needs to do now. Like, he has the go-ahead. He has the green light. So will he go and do? I sure hope so. Let me exit out of some of this. Okay. So there's this. Attorney General Pamela Bondi releases first phase of declassified Epstein files. Today, Attorney General Pamela Bondi, in conjunction with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, of course, declassified and publicly released files related to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his sexual exploitation of over 250 underage girls at his homes in New York and Florida, among other locations. Crazy how this has been treated as one of the biggest trafficking busts of all time. One of the most publicized. And yet there's so much left to be made public, and no one other than him and Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, have actually been locked up, though he obviously is dead. The first phase of declassified files largely contains documents that have been previously leaked but never released in a formal capacity by the U.S. government. Wait, that's inaccurate. That have been previously leaked but never released in a formal capacity. So they were leaked before in a more full fashion. Now they're being released in a more formal fashion, as in more redacted fashion. That doesn't help us very much, does it? This Department of Justice is following through on President Trump's commitment to transparency and lifting the veil on the disgusting actions of Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators. Co-conspirators? Okay. Who are they? That's a quote from Attorney General Pam Bondi, though. The first phase of the files released today sheds light on Epstein's extensive network and begins to provide the public with long overdue accountability. It really doesn't, though. It really doesn't. So what I want to know is, when they say this is phase 1, did they already have documents in their hands which are going to be in phase 2? If so, why make this like a Twitter files leak? Like a week by week leak. Why not just do it all at once? If it's really that important, just get it out there. It'll make its rounds. No need to slow drip it. Or is it that they don't actually have phase 2 secured? They're waiting on Kash Patel and the FBI to send over those requested thousands of documents to complete their phase 2. I'm not really sure how it's going to go. Just throwing some thoughts out there. The FBI is entering a new era, one that will be defined by integrity, accountability, and the unwavering pursuit of justice, said FBI Director Kash Patel. There will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, and no stone left unturned. And anyone from the prior or current Bureau who undermines this will be swiftly pursued. If there are gaps, we will find them. If records have been hidden, we will uncover them. And we will bring everything we find to the DOJ to be fully assessed and transparently disseminated to the American people as it should be. The oath we take is to the Constitution, and under my leadership, that promise will be upheld without compromise. Attorney General Bondi requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response, the department received approximately 200 pages of documents. However, the Attorney General was later informed of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein that were not previously disclosed. The Attorney General has requested the FBI deliver the remaining documents to the department by 8 a.m. on February 28 and has tasked FBI Director Kash Patel with investigating why the request for all documents was not followed. The department remains committed to transparency and intends to release the remaining documents upon review and redaction to protect the identities of Epstein's victims. About those victims, are they all still alive? Why have they not come forward on their own? Have they? If so, then why do the names need to be redacted? I obviously can't fully understand any of that since it's not public information. At least not all of it. So here are some links to previously released documents. Flight logs released in the U.S. v. Maxwell case. Let me just pull up this really quickly so you can see. Some of this is what was turned sideways on the new release. But that's that. And it goes on here, a bunch of links to a bunch of PDFs. You can download them. If you need links to any of this stuff I'm talking about, let me know. I can link it to you. On down the rabbit hole. Moving right along. Hopefully Kash Patel's promise of integrity, accountability, and the unwavering pursuit of justice will come to fruition. Hopefully he's able to deliver the goods as requested by Pam Bondi by 8 a.m. in the morning. Hopefully she will stop redacting as well. That's what I say. So this is what he had to say in a post February 27. He said, the FBI is entering a new era, one that will be defined by integrity, accountability, and unwavering pursuit of justice. There will be no cover-ups. None, he says. No missing documents. Huh. Then what's going on? Better find those missing documents quick. Hold true to this statement. And no stone left unturned. I'm trying to follow suit and turn over every stone possible. Be as informative as possible. If I'm missing anything, my apologies. And anyone from the prior or current Bureau who undermines this will be swiftly pursued. If there are gaps, we will find them. If records have been hidden, we will uncover them. And we will bring everything we find to the DOJ to be fully assessed and transparently disseminated to the American people as it should be. The oath we take is to the Constitution, and under my leadership, that promise will be upheld without compromise. Okay, so back to the influencers. I don't want to spend too much time on them. I'm a little bit ashamed of them because of photos like this, where they're smiling, posing for photos with their very uninformative document dumps. It says on the front there, the Epstein Files, Phase 1. So, of the people who were invited, I have the names of some of them. I don't have the names of all of them. I've been reading an article after article that there were 15 there sitting around the table for the meeting. But these are the names I know of. These are the influencers, or at least most of them, who received copies of the Epstein files directly from the White House. ALX. Well, he was there, but I don't know if he received a copy. He's a producer for Benny Johnson as well, a podcaster. You might be familiar with those names. Chad Prather. Chaya Raichik. You might know her from Libs of TikTok, a very well-known account. Jack Posobiec. He's well-known. Jessica Reed Krause. She's on Instagram. I can't remember what her Instagram name is. Liz Wheeler. I used to listen to her a lot. Mike Cernovich. Goes by Cernovich on X. He actually has me blocked because I had the nerve to disagree with him on like one thing once upon a time. He was like, block. So, not a big fan of him, but at least I can read his posts now according to the new rules of X. I just can't respond to them. Rogan O'Handley, known as DC Drano. Savannah Hernandez, Sav. She goes by Sav often. Scott Presler. He traveled all around the country times over during the election cycle to get people to vote for the Republican Party. Most of these people relatively well known. I'm not a big fan of several of them. I won't say which ones. I'll give them all the time of day, but not so much anymore because this just seemed like a slap in the face to the actual victims. If we want to talk about the victims, want to care about the victims, this doesn't help anybody. Definitely doesn't satisfy me. So I would give Liz Wheeler credit for clarifying just how unconvincing the Epstein binders were, which is what they were carrying, if not for the fact that she herself was smiling in photos, acting like something significant had been accomplished hours before. So this was her, at the time, receiving her document, and then later, this is what she's saying, after she sees the criticism that's going on online. She says, "Let me make this very clear. The binders were not given to us at the White House under any pretense that they contain damning Epstein information." Really? Then why were you posing for photos with smiles on your faces? AG Bondi was pissed because the deep state swamp creatures lied to her and gave her the files in the binder. Okay, then why'd she give them to you? Pretending the contents, yes, a nothing burger, were the complete Epstein documents. Okay, if that's true, indeed some heads need to roll. Because that is overt corruption. And likely criminal. Why aren't you pissed that the Southern District of New York defied President Trump and AG Bondi and attempted to subvert your votes? I think we are. Why aren't you outraged that the FBI swamp traders tried to hide evidence of what we are now knowing to be heinous crimes and the powerful people implicated in those crimes? We are outraged about that. Why aren't you screaming for the SDNY to give those files to Bondi, for Bondi to release them, and for Kash to absolutely level the SDNY? We are screaming about that. At least talking about it. I'm not much of a screamer. But I feel like she was responding to all the criticism which was being directed towards her and the other individuals in this particular photo. Also the ones sitting around the table in the photos up at the top of the thread. Those who met with Carolyn Levitt. I feel like she's covering for herself a little bit here because she didn't like the criticism. But I'll just once again reiterate, why were you out there for this PR publicity stunt, smiling and waving, posing with your binders in the air, looking like you just brought an end or a beginning to a revolution, when according to your own following proclamation, it was already known that there was nothing revealed in those documents. So I'm not really buying what she's selling there. A summary of the handling of the Epstein documents. This is from Tony Kinnett, a investigative columnist for Daily Signal. He said, Pam Bondi, we're releasing the first of the Epstein files tomorrow. Americans. Cool. Then we'll get to read them. Bondi. Well, actually, you'll get to see fun little photo shoots of conservative personalities and influencers holding a binder. So here's Liz Wheeler again. And another group photo. And Jack Poso. I'm not personally a big fan of him. Okay. We've seen enough. He actually has a thread with some more thoughts in it here. I don't know if I want to read it. Don't get me wrong, I like most of those in the photos. A few are friends of mine, says Tony Kinnett. Releasing the files like this, so it's a little photo op? Cringe, childish. Not at all how a list of sex abusers should be released. That should be as simple, or should be a simple online post via the DOJ. Presto, done. So I don't really know what they were going for here. I know they're trying to spice things up in the world of independent journalism because they saw how the election went. Trump's campaign was helped a lot by podcasters and such, so they're trying to bring them into the world of politics, starting at the White House, and maybe, in a sense, replace the old MSM talking heads. It's new media, I get it, but there's a time and a place for utilizing the new school. And not when you're supposedly releasing documents of high crimes like this from one of the biggest trafficking scandals in United States history, where people have been clamoring to know the truth for years and years and years. Lastly, this critical post by Anna Paulina, I put the wrong emphasis on that. Lastly, this critical post by Anna Paulina, I shared some thoughts from her earlier. She calls out the leaking of old Epstein info to the press. The leaking of old Epstein info. She's growing on me, by the way. Not a big fan of her, but stuff like this, I'm on board. She said, I know the task force were given or reviewed the Epstein documents being released today. A New York Post story just revealed that the documents will simply be Epstein's phone book. This is not what we or the American people asked for. Get us the information we asked for instead of leaking old photos or old info to press. So what she's saying there is that when she found out that there was nothing new in what was released in binders, well, she was pissed. She said, this is not what we asked for. So she wants more. I know Marsha Blackburn is someone who has been working on all of this. So I guess I could have pulled up some thoughts of hers, but I need to wrap this up before I reach an hour. I really don't want to pass an hour again. I've tried to be as informative as possible. I worked extensively on this thread earlier. If I missed anything, maybe I'll cover it tomorrow. I don't have a lot of following, a lot of feedback on X. If you want to follow me on there, by any chance, well, you see me right there at Articulate Thought. That's Articulate THGHT, no vowels in the thought. But it's the thought that counts. So yeah, I did have a couple of comments that I was going to read off for you. Someone saying that the reason why none of this is being released, what we actually want to know isn't being released, is because Donald Trump's name is all over it, and he's not going to allow us to expose him. He's not going to allow his Justice Department to expose him. So that's what people on the left may say, but I have a lot of arguments against that. And if it turns out to be true, I'll be all over it, because I do not care. I mean, I do care. What I mean is, regardless of who is implicated in it, I want to know. I want everyone to know. I want the truth to be known. And I don't want the truth to set the guilty parties free. Because if there are guilty parties out there, and I assume there are, They have been free too long already. Yeah. Hard to believe that Jeffrey Epstein could have so many connections, so close to the crime, maybe even committing the crimes themselves. And yet, they're all running wild and free still. And years later, we're still debating over these document dumps. But what say you? I'd be happy to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're still around, if you stuck around this long, thank you very much. Yes, I mean it sincerely. I'm trying to keep this channel going. I got inspired to record yesterday. It didn't go well for me, but I made it work. And I worked on it until 4 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but I did record 2 shows. One of them has a few views. The other one has like no views. But I'm going to keep doing this if I'm able. Mentally, physically. We'll see what happens. And I hope you stick around and find out as well. Peace.